All right, so get ready. We're going deep today, a real deep dive into Jordan B. Peterson's Maps of Meaning.
Oh, yeah, this will be good.
We're going to see how humans, even way back when, tried to figure out meaning in all the chaos.
It's a timeless problem, isn't it?
Totally. And we'll uncover how myths, the stories we often think of as just old fairy tales,
Uh-huh.
they actually give us a kind of roadmap for handling life's ups and downs.
It all begins with a pretty cool idea.
Mm.
Our brains are wired for both curiosity and caution, right?
Oh, like that balance.
Yeah, we're drawn to the unknown, but we're also scared of it.
Makes sense.
Like, imagine a rat checking out a new cage, tentatively.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
We're kind of like that, driven to figure out our surroundings, to make the unfamiliar, well, familiar.
Hmm. The rat analogy is a bit humbling, but I see what you mean. So we're all kind of teetering between fear and curiosity.
Exactly. And it's that very tension that fuels our exploration, our need to know.
It's that push and pull.
The unknown could be dangerous, sure, but it might also hold hidden opportunities.
So we got to figure it out.
We gotta. And to deal with that anxiety, we try to, well, make sense of it all.
Right.
We create maps, like literal ones, but also metaphorical maps to navigate the world around us.
I like that, metaphorical maps. So where do stories, especially those ancient myths, come into this?
Well, think about it. Science gives us hard facts, but stories help us grapple with what those facts actually mean emotionally.
That feeling level.
Yeah. Myths gave explanations for things like storms, earthquakes, seasons changing, all these things that were both awesome and
It
terrifying.
makes you feel small, right?
Totally. But importantly, they helped people find meaning in those experiences.
Not just the what, but the why.
Precisely. They gave people a framework for understanding not just the physical world, but also the emotional world, the realm of values and meaning.
Oh.
Like, take the Mesopotamian myth of Marduk fighting Tiamat, the chaos dragon.
Oh, I've heard of that one.
It explained how the cosmos came to be,
Right.
but it also gave people a way to understand their own struggles, their own encounters with chaos in their lives.
Yeah. Okay, I'm starting to see how these stories, even the ancient ones, can be surprisingly relevant to us today.
They really are.
But here's where it gets even more interesting. Peterson says that myths from all different cultures, they actually have a shared structure.
Oh, this is fascinating.
He talks about these powerful archetypes. The great and terrible mother, the great and terrible father, and of course the hero.
Those are big ones.
They are. And these archetypes represent forces that we all grapple with.
Totally. The mother, symbolizing nature, she's both life-giving and destructive.
Two sides of the same coin.
Exactly. Then there's the father, representing culture and order. He can be protective, but also oppressive. And then we have the hero, the one who ventures into the unknown, confronts the negative aspects of both nature and culture, and ultimately brings about positive change.
Hold on. So is this like a cosmic tug of war going on between chaos and order?
It's definitely a tension.
And the hero's stuck in the middle, trying to make sense of it all.
It's more nuanced than that, though. The hero isn't just reacting.
Okay.
They're actively striving for balance, for a better world.
More proactive.
Exactly. Like, think about Horus in Egyptian mythology. He battles his evil uncle Seth to avenge his father, Osiris, and restore order.
Right.
It's not just a simple good versus evil story. It's about the struggle to create meaning, to impose order on chaos.
Deep stuff. So these archetypes, these universal stories, what do they actually mean for us living in the 21st century?
That's the question, isn't it?
Are they just interesting relics from the past, or is there more to learn from them?
Peterson argues that myths aren't just entertainment. They're models for how societies should function.
A blueprint.
Yeah, a blueprint.
Yeah.
And how individuals should behave. They highlight this constant tension between clinging to tradition and embracing innovation.
So it's like those ancient stories are giving us a guide for navigating life's challenges, a way to find our place in the world.
Exactly. And as we'll see, Peterson goes even deeper, exploring how these myths offer insights into our personal growth and development.
Okay, now I'm really interested.
It's all about recognizing the hero within each of us, the capacity to face challenges and create meaning in our own lives.
Wow, that's powerful. But before we get into the hero's journey and all that,
Sure.
let's unpack this idea of the great and terrible mother a bit more.
All right, let's do it.
What exactly does this archetype represent, and why is it so important?
Well, the great and terrible mother, as Peterson describes her, she kind of embodies this paradox of nature.
That push and pull
Yeah, it's the source of life, but it's also the force that can just wipe us out.
in an instant.
Yeah, in an instant, think of like a raging storm, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's terrifying, it's destructive, but it also brings the rain that like nourishes the land.
We need it.
We need it, exactly.
So it's this primal force that we can't really control, but that we both revere and fear at the same time.
Totally.
I'm kind of starting to see how this archetype connects to that idea of the unknown that we talked about earlier, right?
Oh, absolutely.
We're drawn to nature's beauty, its abundance, but we also know deep down that it has the power to destroy.
Exactly. And that fear, that awareness that we're kind of vulnerable,
Yeah.
that's what drives us to seek knowledge, to understand how nature works.
So we can survive.
So we can survive, yes, we can navigate it better. But Peterson goes even further with this. He argues that this archetype, it isn't just about the external world of nature. It's also about the unknown within us, those parts of our psyche that we haven't really explored and that we're often kind of afraid to confront.
Okay, this is getting pretty deep.
It is, it is.
So the mother is both out there in the world and inside each of us.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And this connects to another important point that Peterson makes. Myths aren't static. They're not fixed.
Right.
They change and adapt over time, just like our understanding of the world
Read ourselves.
and ourselves. Exactly, evolves. The mother archetype, for example, it can look different in different cultures,
Makes sense.
reflecting their unique experiences and values.
That makes sense. So how does the great and terrible father fit into all of this?
Oh, great question.
If the mother represents nature, is the father all about culture like we talked about before?
You're on the right track. The father represents the structures, the order that we impose on the world,
Yeah.
both through social institutions and our own internal sense of rules and boundaries. He's the protector, the lawgiver, the one who sets limits and tells us how we should behave.
So if the mother is all about chaos and potential,
Yeah,
the father's about order and limitations.
precisely. But just like the mother, the father is a complex figure.
Oh, of course, of course.
He can be a source of security, but also a symbol of oppression.
How so?
Well, think about it. Rules and traditions, they can give us stability and guidance.
Structure.
Structure, yeah. But they can also become rigid and suffocating.
Yeah, too much structure.
Exactly, and that can hinder our growth and exploration.
It's finding that balance, that tension between order and freedom, between following the rules and forging your own path. Something we can all relate to, I think.
For sure.
But where does the hero fit into all of this?
Good question.
Is it their job to somehow reconcile these opposing forces?
That's a great question, and it really gets to the heart of why Peterson believes myths are so important.
Okay.
The hero, as he describes them, isn't just some character in a story.
It's more than that.
Yeah, they represent the potential for transformation, the ability to face the unknown, to challenge the status quo,
To shake things up.
to shake things up, and ultimately to create something new.
That creative force.
Yeah.
So, in a way, the hero embodies this struggle we all face to balance the need for order and stability with the desire for growth and change.
Absolutely. They show us that true growth, it often involves going beyond what's familiar, confronting those aspects of ourselves in the world that we're afraid of.
Like stepping outside your comfort zone.
Yes. Think about the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden.
Oh, wow. Classic.
They lived in this state of blissful ignorance
Right.
until they ate the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge.
And everything changed.
Everything changed.
That's a pretty heavy analogy.
It is.
So, are you saying that sometimes those painful experiences, those moments when we're forced to face the unknown,
Yeah.
they're actually necessary for our development?
Precisely. Peterson argues that those limitations, those experiences of pain and loss, they're essential for creating meaning in our lives.
That's interesting.
It's like without darkness, we wouldn't recognize light.
Without the bad, we wouldn't know the good.
Exactly. Without evil, we wouldn't appreciate goodness. It's the contrast that gives life its richness, its depth.
That's a pretty profound idea.
It is.
But it also makes me wonder, if we're all on this hero's journey,
Yeah.
what about those times when we stumble, when we make mistakes? Does that mean we failed?
That's where Peterson's concept of anomalies comes in.
Anomalies.
Yeah. He argues that life inevitably throws us curveballs, things we don't expect, that challenge our existing maps of meaning.
Okay, so anomalies are like those unexpected twists and turns in the road.
Yeah,
The things that disrupt our plans and force us to adapt.
exactly. Minor anomalies might just require small adjustments,
Sure.
but major anomalies, those shake us to our core. They make us reevaluate our beliefs, our goals, even our whole sense of self.
It's like a total reset.
It can be, yeah. And Peterson suggests that how we respond to these anomalies, how we integrate them into our stories, it's crucial for our growth and development.
Okay, this is fascinating, but I'm a little lost.
Okay.
How do myths help us deal with those major life-altering anomalies?
Mm,
Do they offer any guidance on how to navigate those moments of crisis?
they do. Think about those mythical heroes who face these seemingly impossible challenges.
Hercules, Odysseus?
Yeah, exactly. They didn't always succeed on the first try,
Right.
but they learned from their mistakes, they adapted their strategies, and they ultimately came out stronger and wiser.
So it's like those stories are reminding us that setbacks are just a part of the journey.
Yeah.
That it's not about being perfect, but about having the courage to keep going, to keep learning and growing.
You're getting it. And that brings us to one of the most important messages that Peterson emphasizes.
What's that?
The hero's journey, it's not about reaching some final destination, some perfect state.
It's not the destination, it's the journey.
It's the journey. It's about embracing the process, the continual cycle of encountering challenges, adapting, and creating new meaning.
I like that. Okay, I'm starting to see how all of this connects back to the idea of finding meaning in chaos.
Yeah.
But how do we actually apply these insights, these mythical lessons, to our own lives? It all seems a bit abstract.
That's the million-dollar question, and it's one we'll explore in more detail in the next part of our deep dive.
Oh, good.
But for now, I think the key takeaway is this.
Okay.
Myths offer us a language, a framework for understanding the challenges we face, both internally and externally.
The way to make sense of it all.
Exactly. They remind us that we're not alone in our struggles, that humans have been wrestling with these same fundamental questions for a long, long time.
Since the beginning.
Since the beginning.
And maybe, just maybe, those ancient stories can offer us some clues on how to navigate the complexities of our own lives, how to find meaning in the midst of chaos.
Absolutely.
So we've talked a lot about myths, these ancient stories.
Yeah, we've gone deep.
And how they're not just like, bedtime stories. They're more like, what did you call them, psychological roadmaps?
Yeah, exactly. Full of insights to help us deal with, well, life.
Life, exactly. And we've seen how the human experience across cultures, even across time.
Across thousands of years.
Yeah, it all kind of boils down to the same struggles.
Facing the unknown, finding meaning even when things are tough, wanting something more.
It's all connected. But how do we take these grand symbolic stories,
Yeah, the metaphors.
the metaphors, and make them work in our everyday lives?
Well, that's where Peterson really emphasizes taking responsibility.
Okay, I'm listening.
He's not saying just read the myths and poof, your life is magically transformed.
Right.
It's more about engaging with them, seeing them as mirrors.
Oh, reflecting back on us.
Exactly. Reflecting our own potential for growth and change.
So it's active, not passive.
Exactly. It's about asking yourself tough questions. Like, what am I avoiding?
Ooh, getting personal.
What's holding me back? What challenges am I meant to face?
Whoa.
These are the questions that myths make us think about.
Not just in our heads, but like,
In our hearts, too. Emotionally, even spiritually.
wow. It's like those heroes from the myths are talking to us,
Across time.
urging us to be our best selves, embrace the adventure of life.
And to do that, Peterson says to look at what interests you, what you're passionate about.
Those things that just draw you in.
They're clues pointing you toward where you need to grow.
So trusting your gut feeling,
Yeah.
even if you don't know why.
Trusting that inner compass, being curious, having courage.
Like those heroes who went into uncharted territory, not knowing what they'd find.
Exactly.
This has been amazing. From fear of the unknown to the nature of evil.
And the structure of myths, the importance of personal responsibility.
We've covered so much and learned valuable insights about how we find meaning in the world, even when it feels chaotic.
Even when it feels like it's falling apart.
Peterson's Maps of Meaning, it's more than just a book.
It's a call to action.
A reminder that we're all on this hero's journey.
Whether we know it or not.
And that journey, as tough as it can be.
It's what gives our lives purpose. Depth.
So, to our listener out there,
Yeah.
what unexplored territory is calling to you? What adventure is waiting just outside your comfort zone?